Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back for the first time in a couple of months. We are back with your Survivor News, covering Survivor Season 47. I'm super excited to be back with my friends. Let's welcome back to the podcast. You may remember him from The Circle Season 2. Emily, Jack Atkins was popping.
Man, so good to be here. I feel like I say it every season, but that first episode, that premiere episode, gets those goosebumps on you, and I'm just so excited to be back with my guys, ready to break it down. Life is just so much better when we got Survivor going on every week, so I'm excited for the whole season in front of us and to talk about this first episode.
Yes, the first episode is one that we definitely need to get into. Let's welcome back the winner of Ghost Island, the first merge boot of Winners at War. And a little birdie is saying a host on the ABC reboot of Extreme Home Makeover, Wendy Holland. What is popping?
What's going on, Perp? What's up, Jack? It's so good to be back with the boys. We back. You're right, Jack. It feels good when Survivor season is on. Like, life is good. And I'm happy to be with the fellas again.
Yes, yes, yes. And if Survivor is back, that can only mean that the BWP Tour 47 is back. We kicked off in New York City this past Wednesday, and it was so exciting to have New York with us. New York was definitely a vibe. Shout out to all of the survivors. Amazing Race, Big Brother, Squid Games, the Buddy Games.
Hey.
Yeah. Some shows that aren't even out yet were in the building. So it was so amazing. And if you missed your chance in New York, no worries. The Baby Boys will be returning for the finale this December. Tickets will be available soon. But next week, we are headed off to Dallas for our second party of the season. And Dallas is one not to miss. I feel like our Texas market, Wendy, is definitely showing out.
Dallas, Houston, anytime we go to Texas, it's great. I'm trying to see who we got. Looks like we have a nice crew of folks coming out in Dallas. So that'll be a fun one.
Yes, tickets are still available. And after Dallas, we are headed to the City of Angels. We'll be in Los Angeles on October 9th. We'll be in Nashville on October 23rd. So don't miss your chance to be a part of the community that we are building in the campaign of the BWP Tour 47. Links are available in the Brice and Win Instagram and Twitter bio. Click the link and join the fun. But enough of
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Slow down.
Jackery,
What's up?
we're gonna be in your city.
I know, and I'm really excited. And usually it's like the premiere, or sometimes it's that penultimate episode. But we're getting it nice and early this season, so I got it on the calendar. I'm really excited. And I mean, shout out to our guy Tricky Rice with those flyers. Maybe I say it every season, but this year the posters are looking top notch, better than ever before. So I can't wait to see you guys in like 2 weeks. And if you're in the LA area, make sure you come out.
Damn, Jack, that's what I was getting at, man. I can't. The Baby Boys will be back in the same room. That'll be a beautiful thing.
Yes, yes, yes. I ain't making plans with Jack after, but we won't go there, okay? Because last time I was in Jack said we was going to go out to dinner. I looked up. Jack left me high and dry.
These are false claims, but it's because we were in New York. I was jet lagged. My time zones were off.
Now we were on the same time zone, and we still.
I know, and we'll be. I already got a dinner penciled in, so. I thought you were staying at mine, Brice. Got a couple big couches if you guys need a place to crash.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, listen, we got the church announcements out the way. Bay. We have an episode to get to. And let me just say, if somebody were to ask me, Brice, what's your thoughts on what? The first episode. chaotic. And chaotic with a K. And I like it. Okay, because this episode was it was a lot.
Your boy.
Hey, not too much.
Not too
Okay.
much. That's our boy. Not too much.
Too much.
Not too
Okay.
much.
And
Not
all
too
I know is when I'm in LA, Jack and Wendell, if I crack open a coconut, y'all mother better cheer. Okay. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
All right now.
Okay. Jackery. Take
it away.
Yeah, where to start? I mean, first and foremost, love this 2-hour episode premiere. And I think a lot of times, we get those 2 tribes go to tribal council, but this episode we only had 1, which was kind of nice because it allowed for more of those camp life character moments, which were really fun. But kicking it off, the tribes enter all on the same boat, which I don't feel like they usually do. And then, Jeff hits them with some classic questions, introductory questions on the beach, gets to know everybody. And then before we get into the reward challenge, I did want to talk about this a little bit more with you guys, where the marooning is such a moment. And talk about the goosebumps. I feel like watching those first 5 minutes every season is the part where you're just kind of a little weak in the knees, like it's about to go down.
I get so weak in the knees, I can hardly think. I lose all control. If something comes over me on my side, I cry.
Let me settle into the season first before we start doing it.
It's a little early for our songs.
A little early. Well, can you name the title?
Weak in the knees. Bye.
We'll never guess that.
Yo, never. Jack, if you guessed
song,
this, I was streak.
Is it by
Brice.
Is it by Ben?
It's SWV.
SWV.
That was my next guess.
What does Jackery?
Yes, get him, Wendell.
We got another one for you, Jackery. What does this acronym stand for?
What was it?
SWV. And here's a little known fact. One of these members played Survivor.
Whoa. It wasn't Taj, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. There's some knowledge for you. Okay. SW.
Okay, wait. I'll give you another hint.
And when Vizents.
They're all Black women. And they all can sing.
I believe
Think about it.
But what does that have to do with SWV?
That's a hint. Brother, man, come on. Think about it.
Sometimes I feel like Wendell is Duke, I am Kai, and you are Ray.
We're talking in code here.
Wendell doesn't
SWV.
They're Black women.
What's the first word? And I'll see if I can complete
My brother, you should know the first word.
Is it sweet?
They're Black women.
My brother, you should know the word.
Is it? It's not sweet, is it?
My brother.
Oh, wait. Now, what? Now?
My brother.
Oh, they're Black women. Say it again, Wendell.
Soul?
My brother.
They're Black women.
If there were 3 girls on this pod, if there were 3 women on this pod right now, would I be calling you my brother?
No.
If the 3 of us were women.
Sisters with vocals.
Oh my God, Jack, you were so close.
Is it close? Is that the V? Is it close?
You're so close.
Very
with voices.
Yes.
Oh wow.
My brother.
I was like, Wendell, I don't know if you see me, but I don't know if I qualify.
I'm not a brother.
I was like, I'm glad we're close, but I know I haven't seen you guys in a while. Good to be welcome back, but So what I was getting at, it was with the marooning, it's always such a big moment. And sometimes we see them on like a big barge and they got to jump off into the water. Sometimes, Brice, your season, you're getting brought in a boat. The bronze are in the truck. The brains are in the helicopter. Everyone's meeting on the beach. As a viewer or a player, like, what are your guys' favorite kind of style of the marooning? And how did this episode stack up?
My favorite style of marooning is when they're on a boat together and Jeff says go, and you have to grab all of the stuff around the boat and then jump off. Classic. I love that.
I'm a fan of that also. I love it.
Yeah.
Chaotic, get what you can get and go. Look for an advantage, you know.
Yeah.
I also am a fan of the old school when people would be like at work and they would get up from their job and in their clothes and it seemed like they left work and went right to the island. That was always a favorite of mine as well.
I ain't even watch it back then.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you guys. The barge is always really fun. I kind of like that they switch it up every season, keep it fresh, unlike a lot of other things. But so we get to this reward challenge, and it's pretty straightforward. Going in pairs out through the mud to collect several puzzle pieces to assemble this vertical cube sort of puzzle. And the sort of the cut and dry of it is that. So I guess before we get to this, we should break down the tribes. So the yellow tribe, we have Gata, Andy, John, Sam, Annika, Rachel, Sierra. Lava, we have Rome, Sol, Keyshawn, Aisha, Genevieve, Teeny, Tuku, Gabe, Kyle, TK, Sue, Tiana, and Caroline. And in this challenge, Tuku, or I believe it's Gata, the yellow tribe, is able to take it home and win those initial supplies. Did anything pop out to you guys from this first challenge?
Not so much the first challenge, but I think during the marooning when Jeff is calling out people, and I believe it's John, the podcaster. I felt like he spoke extremely too well during this time period. Like, it reminded me of being on my season. And I remember when David Sampson spoke for the first time, and I was just like, ooh, he says so much. And John says he like said a conundrum or something. But like, to me in that moment watching, I was like, oh wow, like not only do we know he's wrote for President Obama and Hillary, like, but he can talk and he's funny and he's got a personality. And I was like, ooh, not red flag, but like green flag. That's actually a red flag, because it's like, I don't know if I want to sit next to you in the end because you clearly can talk.
To that, I will say, Brice, I agree. When I heard him talk, I was like, yo, don't let this guy get some steam in this game. I was like, and also as he started talking more throughout the episode, for some reason, he was reminding me of Dr. Mike. But I was just like, man, dude is a really good speaker. He sounds very smart. He's so poised. He's a tremendous narrator. In a modern game of Survivor, this man is a threat.
And he's snarky and he's funny. And it's like he can point stuff out that's kind of shady, but kind of make it funny a little bit. Like, I was like, oh, I like him, but like, he's saying a lot. That was my first impression.
Yeah, he was very witty. And, ultimately, it's a shame that we lost him, because I thought off the rip, he was one of the strongest characters that we've seen sort of in recent memories. Clearly very intelligent, but also super fun and friendly. And even per the words of Jeff, like one of the best narrators that we've had recently. And unfortunately, only here to narrate one episode for us. But he and the Gata tribe are able to win this first reward. And then that results in the other two tribes having to send a member apiece to go on this, I guess we can call it this sort of initial journey, which is, taking the place of our typical sweat versus savvy. They're going to have an opportunity to win some supplies for their camp. Ultimately, the red tribe sends, is it Aisha or Asia?
Asia.
They send Asia, and the blue tribe sends TK. And before we dive into all the stuff going on at camp, I figured we just cut to the journey and talk about it a little bit. Where on this journey, they're kind of one by one shown these planks with a picture of where the next key they need is located. They each have 3 keys themselves, and then the 4th and final key is that determines the winner is out on the water. And it seems like they're pretty neck and neck. Ultimately, TK gets out to the water before, but he's struggling to find the key. And Asia gets there as well, tries to wrestle it away from him. But TK, being the big guy that he is able to hold on to it and win that supplies for his strat. But I guess what I wanted to ask you guys is, what did we think about this new sort of sweater savvy alternative?
I feel like I'm not going to be on the ladder because I like sweat or savvy. I enjoyed that. Like, I always think of like, my Zaddy Xander out there. Like, I enjoyed the sweat or savvy, right? Like, so I miss that. But, there are a lot of things that I like that the greater audience doesn't agree with. But I enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the challenge. I love a running challenge into the jungle. Kind of gave me old feels. And there's something about TK during this challenge where they both got turned around and couldn't find their path back to the ocean. Although I'm like, just listen for the water, right? Like, follow the water. But I really think that it says something about TK that he said, F the path. And he literally and figuratively forged his own path back to the water. Now, I felt bad for the cameraman that would have to follow him because he just whatever. But I really I thought that was something that I'm like, wow, I feel like TK is going to march to the beat of his own way and really make his own path, because that was just like, he said, F the path, I need to get back to the water. And shout out to Asia for not just standing there and being like, okay, you got the key. And like she said with the fly swatter, she didn't just go up there and wrestle. She just, hey, what you do? Oh, you got it. I like that. Like, I feel like we saw a preview of both of their games. Asia is going to be sweet on the outside, but she's a demon. Like, she's going to play like a demon because, she is my sister-in-law in my head. So I got to root for my sis-in-law.
Len, what'd you think about it?
I thought it was a good changeup. I like it when Survivor throws a loop, and I was excited to see this kind of a challenge for the losing tribes as opposed to Sweat vs. Savvy. I do like Sweat vs. Savvy, but I also just like them doing things to kind of break the mold. So I was happy seeing them out there. Yeah, I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, Brice, I honestly think I'm on board with you here. I didn't have any blatant issues with it, but I didn't love it. I felt like this sort of ties into the theme that I think we see later in the episode with this beware advantage of, I don't love a challenge or advantage or whatever that is kind of just like a scavenger hunt, right? Here, it's okay, find one key, then you find another key, then you find another key, and then you find another key. And it's kind of, it's not
like
the most
theme.
Exciting thing to watch. And I love a dilemma, like a strategic dilemma, a social dilemma. And here it's kind of straightforward, it's kind of just another little challenge. And it, to tie that in with the beware advantage, I don't mind it as far as the structure goes, but as a viewer, how much fun is it to watch them? Okay, here's a scavenger hunt. Oh, you did it. You want to go do another scavenger hunt? Oh, you did that one. You want to go do another one? And so we end up watching for 20 to 20 minutes this episode, just people running around the woods, which is kind of fun, but also can get a little stale. And so that's
I would watch an hour to get that meme of my main man Rome.
Oh.
True.
But we'll get there.
And when that's and that's why certain tasks that they have to do that I think involve a little bit of stealth or can leave you open to looking foolish. I do like those tasks, but there's a lot of just dig and XYZ.
I think they got criticized a lot for the task being too hard or too kooky. So I really felt like this task was a little straightforward. And when they first got the key, I think when Gabe first found the key, I'm like, oh, this is way too easy. Like this should not be a beware challenge. But then when we saw that it had another layer to it, I was like, okay, I don't love it, but I like it because it is a lot. And it's just interesting to see two people, in my opinion, kind of fumble it a little bit, but to see how bad you fumble it or to see how really bad you fumble it. So it's like, I'm a little indifferent about the beware.
Yeah, and before we get over to, a better look at the tribes, now that we're on the beware, I'd love to talk about this, aside from my gripes with the tasks themselves to some extent, I do think it is an interesting dilemma of, do I take my guaranteed 1 round of safety, or do I risk it for 3? And then do I take the 3, or do I risk it for, the full immunity idol? And that's actually a strategic quandary that I think is really interesting. So I'd love to hear where, if this beware advantage fell into your guys' hands, how would you approach the situation? Brice, start us off.
I already told you. Soon as I see beat, put it back. I'm not. I don't care what it say. First of all, I'm dyslexic, so I'm gonna read something else anyway. But my opinion, I feel like, and this is my thought, right? Like, I like it, right? Because no one's just going to sign up for 1, right? Like, you're clearly going to go for the second or the third one. My issue really isn't with that. My issue with Rome and Gabe, and tell me if you agree with this. I feel like they're rushing it too much. Like, you are making the block extremely hot. You know where the box is. You can look as to where the key is. How about you just get a day, spend a day? Like, you are going for you are making the block extremely too hot. I feel like I understand you want to get the key, but just take a second.
Yeah. And I think preseason, and a lot of people said about Rome and about Gabe that they might come in playing too hard. And I agree with you. It's like, it's not a huge rush. Like, go find the time when it's ideal and not when people are sitting 50 feet away at camp. You know what I mean? Where the box damn near rolls into camp in front of everybody. Or like you run to the well while people are on like their errands, their daily chores in some extent. So I told you, Brice, to humor me, if you did take this beware advantage, right, and you had this, and you open the box and it says, okay, here's 1 round, where would your head be at then, assuming you did go?
My head would be at, okay, I'm going to put the key in the hole. I'm going to get the information as to where the second one is, and I'm going to wait. And maybe this is the wrong approach. I'm going to wait till after the challenge, right? Like, because if we lose the challenge, then I don't care. I'm going crazy. But if we win, I have another day or 2 to kind of explore, make connections, because I really feel like, for instance, Rome. I feel like Rome was high energy, but we got people talking about like they loved Rome. He was fun. They're getting along with him. And it's like you playing so hard is now putting a target on your back, when it's like you could have gained more support and had time to go out and buy. So I don't know. I just feel like it's just rushed a little bit. But now you have this power, but now you're going to have to use it.
Yeah. Brice, Wendell, what about you?
I think Brice's strategy is a good strategy. Like, put it in there and wait. Well,
okay, talk to me. Talk to me.
Brice knows about this strategy.
Okay, you talking my language. Go ahead.
I think it's a very good idea to wait and see approach. Wait and see if you guys lose, if you win, and play it by ear. As a first-time survivor, if I put myself in that position, I would probably be so amped and want to. You want to go for it all. But I think Brice, that's a smart move. I don't think you would have done it though. I think you would have tried to go for it all.
No, because I'd have been Gabe dropping the box.
To be fair, I don't think Brice is saying that he wouldn't go for it all necessarily, because once you get the 3, then maybe you're right. Like, well, then I'll wait and go for the full. Because my thinking on this is, like Brice said, I agree. Like, I agree. You have a lot of time here. And once you found, completed the first task and gotten the first key, my mind would probably be like, all right, well, the other tasks probably aren't that much different. And I already did the first one. I could probably increase, the power of this idol. I also think once I get, if I go for 3, once I get 3, and then I could get one that goes to a final 5, that's really a big jump in my book that is worth the risk. But part of me, I kind of hope in the moment that I would be able to sort of take on a more simple approach, which isn't necessarily how I usually think about the game, but to just find an idol that is good for the first tribal council you go to. There's something really simple and easy about that where now, okay, I'm on a tribe. Maybe if my tribe's decent, we don't lose for a couple tribals, or maybe we go the first tribal, but like at least I know I'm not going to be the first boot, right? And I think that can alleviate a lot of the concerns that when you're fresh on the island, these players might have. It gives you some comfort to be like, I'm not going to be the first one out because I'm going to play my idol. Maybe I can play it on if say I'm in a group of 3, alliance of 3, and things are looking split. Maybe I can play on it on an ally and make a move and keep the numbers for myself. But
pass it to that ally. So you don't have to make a big move early.
Yeah, and I think it is something easy. Just be like, all right, I'm not gonna be the first one out. Like, let me just accept that and like appreciate it. And we see a lot in these seasons too. Sometimes there's a disaster tribe where you might not go to more than one tribal pre-merge. So that one good idol could get you to the merge. Now
here's another idea, Jack. What if you got it? You don't have a vote, but you just hold it, because now no one else is going to get it. Like, like what if you kind of like held it within so that no one else can get it? And although it kind of puts you at a deficit, it also puts you at knowledge is power. That when we're splitting the votes, we know that no one else is going to have something. So it kind of puts you in a power position.
Agree. I mean, so I totally agree with like the knowledge is power of it, right? Because if you put it back, then you're not only are you losing this potential advantage, you're also losing the knowledge of who's going to get it. Right. But I wouldn't say like wait and not regain your vote, right? Because it's like as far as waiting goes, I agree, because find that right opportunity to go do your hunting. But I wouldn't be comfortable being like, I'm not even gonna pick this up just for I'm gonna go get the idol. But I agree with it. It is very important. Just knowing where advantage they're at sometimes is more impactful than having the advantage itself. But to what I was saying is like, I think that beauty of that one tribal could be very valuable, and I would kind of hope that I would be able to like sit back and appreciate that and take that. But I do think if you want to really play a winning game, then taking because I feel like these tasks haven't been that hard, right? And so to make that leap and go for that full idol, and then trust yourself as a good player to be like, hey, if I'm gonna go on to win this game, assuming I have the skill set, then a full idol is obviously gonna be a lot more helpful than this one-time idol. And hopefully I don't make a mistake that we've seen a lot of people make, even last season because a lot of people I think wait too long to make that perfect move with the idol, and then we'll go home with it. And that's kind of why I was like, just one idol, one tribal idol. You don't have to overthink it. You can play it, settle in, see the dynamic. Something nice about that.
I think there's a lot to that, Jack. I think, first of all, like you said, you could win a couple or whatever. And this is just like, all right, I know I won't be first out. And it could be a real tool in doing something else. Mm-hmm. So, and you can if with a win or 2 wins, you can buy yourself the time to have good relationships or whatever. And if you don't, you have the idol to save yourself there and shake up whatever else might be going on. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Jack.
And the nice thing is you guarantee that you're going to know whether the first tribe you go to is your tribe, or maybe you make it to a swap without going to a tribal. Now you're on a swap tribe and there's a new dynamic. You're going to guarantee that you're going to know you're going to get through one tribal, and at least know if you're on the top or the bottom too, because then that can really influence how you play. Like if I keep this idol to myself and all my allies vote, how I thought they were going to vote, then I think there's a comfort you could take and be like, okay, I'm in the right group. Like these people do trust me. We've built some trust. Whereas I feel like playing Survivor, that first tribal is probably one of the most nerve-wracking things. So to eliminate that paranoia.
Tell me about it.
And just to eliminate that paranoia and just be like, okay, let me see who's really like who's really about their word. Could be a nice thing. Now, would I end up doing that, or would I go for everything? Who knows? But I would hope that if you do go for the full idol, that we heed Brice's advice here and take our time, because there's really no rush to be doing it in broad daylight. So, but yeah, I think the idol situation itself posed at least like an interesting dilemma. But yeah, great. So now the journey's done. And we've covered this new Beware advantage. So now we're getting to
here. Something what I don't like about the journey a little bit. Maybe I like it. Maybe I'm a little messy. Maybe I like the confusion. I like when people go on a journey and it was rather simple, right? Where TK went back and they were like, did Aisha get anything? And they're like, no, we battled it out. So she didn't have anything. I like it when it's a little more ambiguous, right? I like it when the tribe questions, right? But I also feel like Asia is believable and lovable. So it doesn't matter if it was some complicated story. She wasn't going to give us a Linsky story, right? Like they would have believed her. But I do like it when it's a little more ambiguous, because I love when people just start worrying about stuff that's not even there. Like as a viewer, I enjoy that. So
yeah.
This kind of cuts it off.
You're right.
And it's easier to pick up, like when it just, even if people aren't lying, when it's like, dag, I think they're lying, or when it's a little more ambiguous, it's just like there's so much up for grabs there. Even if you're telling the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Or even just when it's like, we had to walk up this hill, we had to read this thing, we had to decide. Like just even when the story itself lends to like, bitch, you lying.
Well, you're right. That's a credit to Aisha, because nobody, you show up empty-handed, that could be a really scary.
A credit to who?
What's up?
A credit to who's Aisha?
Asia?
Thank you, because Brice, you butchered it.
You said Aisha.
Yeah.
Okay. In there, Brice.
Yeah. That is a lot closer.
Yeah. But that's credit to her, because you show up empty-handed. She even mentioned you show up empty-handed. People oftentimes will assume the worst, and it seems like really nobody was too concerned about it. I also think it's interesting to think about, all these different sort of journeys we see and how people present this story. But there's such a realm of possibilities here where, you show up empty-handed in a season where there's like some other dilemma. You could just make something else up. I mean, it might come back to you later in the game, but. So I guess you want to keep it pretty real, but I do agree with you, Brice. There's no like gray area really here.
Right.
Like you win or you lose. And to that point, something really subtle. I think the thing I agreed with Rome on the most this episode was when he said that it was a mistake to volunteer to go on this journey, because I feel like it was framed as like you can go and earn supplies for your tribe, but at the same time, you're missing maybe that first 5 hours of those immediate.
I disagree.
Connection. Okay.
And that's why I also feel like I'm a real believer in energy and spirits, right? Like I feel like from watching Rome, he has a I just see it, right? And so that I think that has to be true for him, but I feel like Asia's spirit is different. You saw when she got back, Teeny just naturally gravitated towards her. So I also feel like it depends on the person. And I think for Rome, yeah, he needs to stay and spend as much time with the group, even though he spent more time in the well than with the group. So I feel like he is kind of contradicting himself. But I also was cracking up. Did anybody peep TK's exaggeration a little bit where he was like, yeah, I got back and Asia over there tried to wrestle me down in the water. We was diving around and I was looking at her like, girl, what is you doing? Meanwhile, Asia just Asia did
he got it.
Right. Yeah. TK made it seem like she was trying to rumble him. I don't know if that was just me.
Yeah, kind of. She definitely was making a little bit of a move there for it, but yeah, they weren't full blown. But sometimes you make a big play, you got to hype yourself up a little bit. But I will say,
if I was out there though, I mean, I probably would have wrestled TK for just a little bit, just
little
tug of,
okay.
just a tug of war.
Okay.
Just a
What are
little.
you tugging?
No, encourage
Oh,
this. Man.
no,
TK, I apologize. I apologize.
I'm just
I still would
saying.
disagree with you on this though, Brice, because you're right. Like Asia luckily has the skills. Asia. I mean, it's the SH that's getting me.
Isn't her handle like Asia, like the continent or something?
I don't know. Okay, Asia. All right, that makes it easier. Asia has the skills that she's able to recover from this. But to me, on paper, it's like, okay, you volunteer to go on this journey. Best case scenario, you win some supplies for your tribe, but that's not. You're also missing valuable time.
The tribe. Who is it? Asia sitting with the tribe, giving the 411 on Rome, or is it Rome connected with the tribe?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking. Of course, it's different between different people, and it's not necessarily like a huge win or a huge loss. But I do think on a basic level,
this is a basic level.
The average random player, I think you'd rather have that time with your tribe, get your feet planted a little bit with some people. And I think we kind of underrate this because Asia played it off so well. But if you come back with nothing, there's a lot of players that are gonna people are gonna look at that bad or they're gonna be suspicious. And I'd rather just save myself. Maybe if there was an advantage up for grabs or something, it could be worth the risk. But it's like just let someone else go try to get the supplies. Like it's like a machete and a flint. Like it's not. We'll have those in 3 days if we don't get them now.
Last season the tribe went a lot longer. So I don't know.
But I mean, had they sent Banu, he wasn't coming back with anything anyway. So
not too much.
But yeah, so now okay, cool. So we can go kind of now we're looking at some camp life and some of these early dynamics. I know they kind of fluctuated and bounced around, but I kind of want to just go tribe by tribe. I'll give sort of the highlights, and then whatever jumps out to you guys, we can talk about for a little bit. So over on Gata, the yellow tribe, immediately Andy and John go make a connection. But the other 4 kind of witness this separation, and those 4, they say they have like an unspoken sort of thing going on. I did think it was interesting. At least this was probably editing, but the fact that Andy was just like, I'm by. Like he just threw it out there, no context, as a way to connect. I'm sure that's something John and Andy
works for me.
Yeah, I'm sure that's something.
If you want to connect with me,
okay, Brice.
I just feel like, of course, maybe it was just a trick of editing, but things like I feel like whenever you're opening up about something, you want it to be kind of a natural flow of conversation. You don't just want to like throw out like, my parents are divorced. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let it like, but whatever. So they bond. They seem to connect. The other 4, sort of.
Who are the other 4?
It's Sam, Annika, Rachel, and Sierra.
You can stop right there. Samuel, the baseball player, the actor, the news reporter. Okay. I could be a car. He could put the key in my engine. That's all I'm saying. He's versatile. We like Sam. What he say? He a gluer?
A glue guy.
A glue. Okay.
Stay away from his glue, Brice.
Okay, Sam. They call me a hot glue stick. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a hot glue gun. I just need some glue, Sam. Okay. I like Sam.
Not to get sticky.
Okay. Okay. What you need for me to glue, Sam? I like Sam. Okay.
He's a girlfriend, bro.
Oh, I'm bi.
He's not bi.
I can connect. I'm connected. No, but I do like Sam, right? Because Sam said he a wolf in a wolf clothes. Oh, okay. And I'm Lil Mary, or Lil Riding Hood. Little Bo Peep walking down with my sheep. But I like Sam. I like. Oh, sorry. Okay. I think he has the right attitude, right? Like where it's like, I really do feel like he is versatile. He also has the wherewithal to be like, I don't want to be a leader. I'd rather be a sidekick, and I relate to him in that aspects. Like, I don't need to be the name on the bill. Like, I'd rather be the opener act. I'd rather be the supporting
glue guy.
act. The glue guy.
Yeah.
Because if the opener act gets sick, what's going, like, I think that's very, very, very smart of him.
It's a great analogy. It takes a lot of self-awareness. And yeah, he knows he's like big, strong, handsome, all these things. He's gonna say personable, all the things that Brice is in love with. He knows this, and he's gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna try my best to be the glue guy, which is a great role.
And I thought it was really, to me, he might have been the player of the episode. Like, I think it was really impressive that on this season, he might be the most kind of stereotypically bro-y, macho guy, but he's the one on his tribe that connects the most with all the women really quickly, and then has the guys coming to him with plans as well. And he sort of puts himself at the center. I think he analyzes sort of the plans that are thrown his way and kind of reacts accordingly, and is distributing information in like a very balanced way, where he's not necessarily like, later on when John and Andy come in with this plan, it doesn't seem like he's necessarily throwing them under the bus, but he takes that information and then goes to the girls and is like, okay, here's a little bit what I heard. Like, how do we go about this? So I liked what Sam was doing. We also see, Annika immediately very knowledgeable, talking about, certain things about coconuts in the shelter, and sort of becomes kind of a natural leader despite not necessarily wanting to. Like we said, Sam wants to be a glue guy, which I think is I also love that analogy, because I think it's kind of not only a sports reference, but also like a kind of a bro-y friendship reference. I did understand what he meant. Like when with your squad, there's always that certain guy that, when they come through, it feels like, all right, now we're ready to like go out and have some fun. Like he's the one who kind of brings the team together, which is a great person to be. Sierra, is talks a little bit about, okay, she's a pageant girl, but she's also kind of a tomboy, like growing up as her dad's, who had no sons, kind of instilled some masculinity on her, I suppose. And she's able to start the fire. And then I think kind of the main thing that we get to a little bit later is Andy sort of earnestly connecting with Rachel. And then in the middle of the night, he's having a little bit of a freak out, and he pulls her off to like have a conversation and settle his nerves. And she's really not very about it, which I think for good reason. Sneaking off as a pair in the middle of the night for a variety of reasons can be a very bad look. But that's kind of the things going on at Gata. What jumped out to you guys? What's important?
Wendell?
No, go ahead to tell us about Andy. Okay, here, full disclosure, we're big fans of Andy, and he's a friend of the show. He's a friend of BWP, and so it was not the easiest episode for me to watch or to talk about, because like, I know this guy, I know he's a great guy, but man, did he provide us with some material this episode. So
for me, before we get into that, I love Andy. I'm a personal friend of Andy. I've watched Andy evolve over these last 5 years. So I want to just start with that. But because listen, okay.
Andy, we love you.
When John was opening that coconut and that image of Andy looking at him, I was like,
like, bro, it's a coconut. Like,
but it was the way Andy was like,
chewing very.
Y'all ain't see how I opened this coconut. You won't laugh at him open. Y'all ain't gonna get none of my coconut. It was that for me took me out.
And Brice, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but I just want to say, like, I relate to Andy tremendously, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to Andy, where there's points in your life where you grow leaps and bounds. And I feel like I struggle with this to this day, where it's like I am mentally at some place that I want to be. And then at times I get put in positions where, and Wendell, you can attest to this, I get put in positions where I am uncomfortable. And when I am uncomfortable, baby, I am not the same Brice. And it is a turn off to some of my friends. I go into defense mechanisms that keep me safe, i.e. Irish goodbyes. I like clam up. So like seeing Andy in this moment, I related to him 1,000%. And I can understand why he would want to take Rachel off, because it's like you need a connection with someone just to see you. So it's like I relate to that. That's like real-ish. And anyone that says anything negative about that experience or says that they haven't gone through anything like that, I'm calling you a liar, because like people like that's real. And I can relate to that. So I just want to say that.
Yeah. It was tough to watch. Definitely having met Andy as well myself and seeing kind of his journey onto the show. Definitely rooting for him and glad he's still around. I think this is one of those, like you said, it's something that I think at some level we can all kind of relate to, Brice, because in any group setting, when you kind of, whether it's true or not, you catch wind that, oh, maybe this person doesn't like me. And then you start thinking with that attitude, then you're going to see everything through that lens of like, do these people not like me? Am I doing something wrong? And then you become just like really self-conscious, really paranoid about like your own behavior. And that is exactly how it starts to spiral, because then things that are so minor and not a big deal suddenly become a big deal. Like for Andy with the coconuts, he looks like a guy who is comfortable in the outdoors and can chop a coconut. John self-admittedly says he's not. And so that's when he does something good, you give him some support. But, like if I'm playing, if Jonathan Young it chops a coconut, you're not gonna be like, awesome job, Jonathan. Like, no way you did that. It's in a way, it's kind of a good thing that people aren't clapping for you to do normal survival tasks, because it shows that you seem like you're comfortable.
But your insecurities won't tell you that. Like your mind, like
Yeah, your mind won't. But again, like maybe they were rooting for homeboy because they're like, man, this fool can't open a coconut.
Exactly.
Don't tell Andy that, though. Andy's like, and like, why they zoom in on his face like that? I'm like, y'all ain't gonna do my dog like that.
It is a testament to the fact of like, it's not every tribe, it's not every season, but the benefits that you have in this game as like a fit guy, right? You could really tank your own game and somehow stick around. It's like, if I'm an Andy, seeing this as the evidence of what could happen, I'd go in there, just chill, just chill, hang out. You don't have to be the most popular person. You don't, whatever. And all these things go wrong, and somehow still doesn't catch a vote against them. And of course, that's not the case with every group, but you get a lot of liberties when you're an athletic guy, and he should be aware of that. It's like, going in, he is going to be looked at as an asset. So don't allow yourself to get too caught up on like being a target, because once you start to think you're a target, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of then you start to do things that make you a target.
I think as I watched him slip and slide into like just worse and worse game moves, I was like, there's no chance he's going home tonight if they lose. I was like, someone's gonna talk. This is the perfect opportunity for people to talk to him and use him, and because he is so out there as such a blatant, like, this guy is kind of spiraling, he should go. Diarrhea of the mouth. It's such a great opportunity to just get someone else out of there.
Can we jump around, Jack?
Yeah.
Because
where are we going?
We is going to laying down on the sand. Okay. Now,
during the challenge.
Now I love Andy, Lord knows I do. And this is coming from a place of love. This is how I show love. When Jeff walked over to him and said, you need medical. What you need? And Andy said, Jeff, I need everything.
I think he said, well, so
I gave everything. I gave everything.
He said I gave everything.
Oh,
I also heard I need everything.
I thought he said, Jeff, I need everything. What you got? Give it here.
Jeff was like,
he's like
medical. And Jeff walked away. Jeff's like, man.
And then at the end,
if he said, Jeff, I need everything, Andy needs to get on that merch immediately. Jeff, I need everything.
He also hit Jeff with an I love you at the end.
That was at the end.
Jeff was like, I love you too, man.
We haven't gotten to the end yet. I'm in Rome's watch party in Phoenix. And this is happening on the screen. And I'm sitting next to Ariane, one of my co-hosts on Extreme. She's never watched Survivor before. This was a quote. She said, the fact that you got people coming out the bushes to take care of this guy, he was shaking like a fish. I'm like, because he was doing a little, bruh, he was all right, though. It was his pride, right?
I don't know. But this is what I can say to you as someone that knows Andy. When they got back up after they lost and Jeff was talking to him, looking in Andy's eyes, like, I really feel like that was not Andy, right? Like, I really feel like, have y'all ever been in those moments where your adrenaline is running and you're like, I don't know what the hell is coming out of my mouth, right? Like, I was like looking at his eyes and I was like, this is not Andy right now. Like, this is like, he's just on auto. Like, it's not him. And it's like, again, my heart goes out to him. It's because, like, I know my Andy. I love my Andy. And it's like, it was really hard to watch him speak in that moment because it really felt like it was not him at all. It was, like
panic attack. What was it?
Something. It was like some type of like maybe heat-induced psychosis for a second. But like, I just really believe that like that was not him in that moment.
He had the raps. He had the nervous raps or something. Whatever it was, he couldn't stop talking.
I mean, the heat definitely had him exhausted. Like, it wasn't to the point where necessarily like he needed too much medical attention, but I could tell he was gassed, combined with the emotional turmoil he was going through. I think just threw him into like just a craze. And you know, now that we're talking about it, like that speech he gave was wild.
Best answer would have been to just not say anything, right?
Oh, 100%. Or just spin it a good way, but to be like in front of everyone, like, I'm a strategist. Like, I know everyone's against me. I know I'm at the bottom. John's my best friend, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. I'm like, all of those things are things that you should not be saying. Like, this, it was not good.
But I also just think about like, for me, it puts me in his mindset, right? Like, I almost felt like I could hear the voices in his head, right? Like, I felt like what he was saying was answering all the negativity in his head. And that's like what he was responding to. But for me, it was the other tribes. Like, I saw Tiana's mouth just like I saw Teeny, like, it was hard to watch. And I'm sure other people have different takes on it, but it was definitely hard to watch. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, is it a bad strategy?
Yes, but
I have one other quotable from the watch party in Phoenix from our good friend Tyson. He said,
Tyson Abate? I mean, Adespool? Tyson Abate Adespool. No, I mean, no, I got it mixed up with Dominic Apostle.
Tyson Apostle, yes. He said he knows he's digging his own grave and can't stop himself. He couldn't stop. He was going. Like, and I guess all eyes are on you. You just had whatever kind of a meltdown. And instead of just saying, you know what? I'm just not going to self-incriminate. You just keep rapping. Just to get something out there. Yeah, sorry.
And so, excuse me, I hate to keep jumping all around, right? I really do feel like the edit, right? I really do feel like they would have had to do a good job of. I think Andy made a good enough impression with his tribe. Like, I think that they saw the good in him, right? And I also think that first impression that I felt of John, I feel like there had to have been more moments of that we just didn't see, or that other people picked up on that, because just the way the vote shook out, like for
You're
Andy
saying
not,
how sharp he is.
yeah, yes, like how I think that they hid that from us. Like we didn't get to see a
Yeah.
lot of those
I'm
moments.
sure they could.
because-
Yeah, they definitely could tell he was a threat in the long run. Is what you're kind of saying,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was. I guess before we get over to the post challenge stuff, and that ultimate decision, I'd love to jump back to the other camps real quick.
Okay.
We got Lavo and Red and Tuku in the blue. So over on Tuku, sorry, you put up the lot, my bad. So they get back to their camp. TK has won this extra supplies, and sort of the main things going on over there is Sue is actually making some really strong connections. She's got a good connection with Gabe, good connection with Caroline. TK immediately is sort of gravitate. The guys are kind of immediately gravitating towards TK, especially after this big challenge win. And then, another big story over there is Gabe finding this beware advantage. TK catches him working the vines, and there's kind of some half lies and weirdness going on there. Gabe also clues in Sue, who gives him a lookout and, gives a shout when people are approaching. And then ultimately, like we talked about a little bit earlier, he finds 2 boxes and then secures this 3 tribal idol. So what to you guys is standing out on Tuku?
When you just showed the photo of their tribe, Brice, I was just like, man, they look strong.
They do.
Like,
Yeah.
They look strong. Like the women look strong, the men look strong. Homeboy from Baltimore that found the idol.
Gabe.
I think he's gonna Gabe. I'm sorry. I think he's gonna spice the game up, and he's gonna be interesting to watch. I like his alliance with Sue. That's an interesting combo for sure. But even my man
Kyle,
that looks like JT. Reminds me of JT. This is a strong looking tribe. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've got some hot takes.
Let's hear 'em.
Should I come out swinging? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
So one, I really love Kyle, right? I did a preseason of Kyle, and I was like, I don't know how Kyle's going to do. Hearing Kyle's story about being in foster care at 26 homes, me as a social worker, right? Like, I automatically gravitate to Kyle. I think Kyle has an ability to adapt. So I am really loving Kyle a lot. I don't know. I like Gabe. I think Gabe is playing a really, really strategic game. But for me, it is interesting that he chose not to bring in TK, even though TK is clearly not dumb. And TK is like, you ain't just shaking no vines and you find the key.
Mhm.
So that was interesting. But then I also thought it was interesting that then he kind of tells Sue.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
And they're both from the DMV.
Right. They have a connection. So I thought that was interesting. However, I love Gabe's approach as to an older person on the tribe, somebody like a Sue, who normally is, looked at as the weak, bringing them in. But I also find from the edit that I felt like, although Sue was happy with Gabe, in my perception, it seemed like we seen a little more time with Sue and her daughter than Sue and Gabe. But I love this connection with Sue, and I definitely think this tribe is strong, and so I like them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think Gabe and Rome somewhat are sort of 2 sides of the same coin. They both have this storyline of they find this beware advantage. They go a little too hard. Preseason, I think a lot of people were concerned that these guys were going to go a little bit too hard, be a little bit cocky. And now that they have a little bit of ammunition, it'll be interesting to watch. But I do think both of them might fizzle out pretty early, just because they're a little too enthusiastic.
They are. If there's one person I'm worried for, it would be Gabe on that drive for sure.
Yeah.
Because of that. But who knows, like what's gonna happen with this advantage, how he finds it, how he uses it.
It was when Gabe dropped the box and Tiana's like, I don't know what's going on over there, but that don't sound like rocks. Shout out to Sue. Like, he getting firewood, girl. That ain't no firewood, sis. Okay. But I liked how Sue was like initially like trying to cover for him. So yeah, I like Sue as well. I feel like Sue is strong. I feel like Sue is feisty. I really hope Sue goes deep in the game.
Yes, Sue, I was so fun preseason. I was a little worried for her as the older woman who's a little bit quirky that she'd struggle to make connections. And so far, she seems like she's at the center of this tribe. So I'm really excited for Sue and think she could go deep. And yeah, I worry for Gabe again. Like, some people just look like they're plotting, kind of. Like, the way that his eyebrows would like arch when he was like talking strategy looked almost like kind of villainous. And I don't know, like I like personally speaking, he seems like a really chill guy, but it seems like strategically, like perception wise, people might see him as, you know, he's already running off doing things. And if that's the perception people have in mind, to see him, like, I could just tell when he's like concentrating and like thinking strategy in the brows, like angle, I'm like, this dude looks like he's going to stab me in the back. Like,
and I feel like he said he was going to come into the game and play like that.
Exactly. So it all kind of
a gambling man, Jack. I feel like y'all would have a lot in common.
The thing is,
casinos.
Now would I love to play some cards with Gabe? Absolutely, but I honestly don't consider myself that much of a gambler. Like I love poker. I love
Jack.
I know. So we'll hear this thing. I love poker. I play a lot of poker. I don't necessarily. It's of course.
Well, that's gambling.
Of course, it's gambling. But when you're a certain like, I would say I'm a very good poker player, and I
mean, who would say they not though?
Some people. I also have the stats to back it up. Like, I keep track of all the games I play.
So you're a gambler.
I know, but I keep track of my profit, which is good. So I'm a good enough player where I'm making informed decisions, I would say, right? If you bring me to a roulette table where it's 50-50 or not even, and that to me is like blackjack, roulette, other games like that are pure gambling, I don't like to play those. I like poker because I know that generally I'm one of the better players at the table. And so maybe if the odds, basically, if you're good enough, I like a gamble where the odds are in my favor, because in the long run you'll make money.
Well, I think every gambler says that though, Jack.
Yeah, but not all of them. But yeah, but if you go to find someone at the roulette table, that's not just not how roulette works. But people still gamble on it. But I don't do that. If you give me a gamble where I'm going to win 60% of the time and lose 40% of the time, I'll take it every time, because then you're going to have a good outcome, because long term you're going to win. But I don't like to gamble on things that are 50-50 because there's no advantage. But so I mean, so on paper, yes, I'm a gambler. But in my spirit, I would not say that I'm a gambler. I like calculated risk, right? And Gabe would probably agree with that. I mean, Gabe is probably a calculated risk guy as well.
Jack, I feel like you just trying to basically say that, like, I'm a good gambler, so I don't consider myself a gambler.
But poker is different than other games, though, because
it's gambling, Jack.
Yes,
but it's Brice. Have you ever given Jack money to gamble with?
What? No, because he's not a gambler.
What's up?
No, I've never given him money to gamble.
I won you money playing poker.
Oh,
that was a 2x return.
Do you remember the night that I gave you money to gamble?
You were under the influence.
What else did we do that day?
We went to Desi's bonfire.
What else did we do that day? We had Jack and I, Wendell, had a 2.5 hour rap cipher. You don't remember that, Jack?
Oh, was that night?
That was that night. Jack put on some beats. Yes.
Did we go out after the beach?
We know we went out first, and then we walked back, and then I just wouldn't stop recording.
Well, after the beach, did we go out, and then we went back to my apartment?
Yes.
And by that point, I was really drunk. So yeah, we definitely were rapping.
Okay, we was spitting bars though.
It's facts.
But you're a gambler, Jack. It's fine.
Look, I'll just.
It's okay.
Whether that's
You're willing to invest.
Okay, you know what? Okay, but wait. Okay, let me just say this. I do take my clothes off for money, but I am not a stripper or an exotic dancer because the way my body moves, I'm good at it. And so,
no.
Like they don't throw dollars at me, you know, they pay bills. So I'm not
okay.
an exotic dancer.
I guess it depends how you define a gambler. For me, some people will take a 50-50 risk or even worse all the time, and that's purely gambling. Like, but for me, I only like to take risks if I feel that I have an edge, like the odds are in my favor. So yes, it's still gambling, but it's a profitable way to gamble because you know in the long run you're gonna profit.
What games are what games do you play with those risks?
None.
No, with the 60%. What are the, poker? Okay,
and that's because if you're playing against other people, you're not playing against the house.
You've never gave money in a fantasy football draft.
I also think I'm better at fantasy football than the people I compete against. Now, look, have I played blackjack, craps, things like that, where I'm most likely going to lose my money? Yeah, but I don't do it a lot, and I don't do it with any large amount of money. That if I go to the casino, maybe I'll do $50 on craps with my friends and like have fun playing, and I might lose the $50, but I had fun. But I want to.
So let me just get it straight, Wendell. So I know the things Jack are good at. He is above the odds, so like it's not gambling because he's better at most of the people that do it.
Yeah, but most casino games you're not good at.
Okay, but now we cross over to fantasy football.
Yeah.
So
I feel like we've had this argument before. There's things you can gamble on where you have an edge, like things that require knowledge, like fantasy football or strategy or like poker. But if you go and play roulette, I'm not better than anyone at roulette because you're just picking black or red. And some people love to go do that. And I would call that you love gambling. I don't like.
Yeah, well, I'm not arguing that minutia. I'm just saying that like, sure, you're a good gambler, but you're a gambler.
But I wouldn't say I'm a good gambler. I would say I'm a good poker player.
Is poker considered gambling?
It's like it's a square or rectangle. Like it's a different.
Have we been on this damn topic for the last?
No, because Jack's not going to wiggle his way out of this.
I've already wiggled my way out of this.
You haven't.
Okay, I would say I love gambling when it's something that I have good odds in. I do not like to gamble when I have bad odds.
Y'all don't make me eat every snack in my.
Wait, what? Hold on. Hey Siri, is poker considered gambling?
Drop in the comments what you think.
Yes, poker is considered gambling. Thank you. Wait, Siri, can you say that out loud?
But there's a difference between saying that I gamble and that I love the gambling.
Now you're getting into the semantics.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we've been arguing for 5 minutes. But I don't.
No, you've been saying you're superior, so it's not considered gambling.
I would say it's still gambling, but it's a form of gambling that is like, to me, I think of gambling. It's like you're taking a risk where you don't really know what's going to happen. It's a complete gamble.
Wendell won Survivor one time. He's not a good Survivor player. Like he's not like a. All right, Jay.
Bryce, I think you lost Wendell with that one.
Bryce, watch yourself.
Jack, I've talked to you many a days, and you ain't been this good of a poker player. Okay, so
I'll show you my chart.
No. Okay, doesn't that?
I'm up a cool 20K. So let's. Is that gambling, Bryce? Over 580 hours. I'm up.
My britches got a little wet. Oh, yeah. Okay.
He said, now you speaking my language.
Now you're speaking my language,
If
Jack.
someone's done something for 1,000 hours and they're up $20,000, are they gambling? That's what I.
Okay, Jack, you good. Listen, you good. Jack, you good at what you do.
What you making? $10 an hour? Is that the math?
$16 an hour. Yeah, I'm making minimum wage.
Jack, you got a part-time job.
Yeah, exactly. If you could make minimum wage doing something you enjoy doing, you would take that.
Wait, didn't you say you played for 10,000 hours?
No, 1,000 hours. 10,000.
Oh, Jack, do you get a break? You get a 30-minute break.
If
He got a clock in.
if you could do something you enjoy doing and make minimum wage doing it,
That sounds like a video game. They pay you 10 cents an hour, Jack.
Oh, Jack.
Brice, I don't.
Jack, I want to see a timestamp.
Wendell, we can't all win Survivor, bro. Someone's got to do it the hard way.
Jack, was you reading your W-2s?
Well,
I played 10,000 hours.
Not 10,000. I'm not Malcolm Gladwell. I said 1,000.
Jack, man.
Over like a long time.
10,000 hours. You're an expert, bro.
I did not
Yeah,
say 10,000. I said 1,000.
Did they provide you a uniform?
He's got a doctorate in gambling.
Wow.
Do
I
you
get chirp
teach?
even when I make money. It's crazy.
Oh my God, Jack, I'm sorry. Oh.
I didn't know we were talking to a PhD, Brice.
Jack.
In 10,000 hours, you're an expert, Jack.
Okay.
I said 1,000.
That's why he's not a gambler. You gotta do a certain amount of hours.
I can't win. Episode 1, I'm already getting bullied again. I only had 4 friends in high school too.
Oh.
And now I'm getting my whole podcast nobody likes me. I was eating my chocolate covered pretzels and no one clapped.
Jack, how do you find the time to podcast when you got
That's over like 5 years. That's not that much. Like
There's only 24 hours in a day, Jack.
so over 5 years, you do something you do 200 hours a year. It's not that much.
You're 22 years old, Jack.
I know, Jack.
My man's been gambling since the
That's true.
Oh, Jack. Oh my God. Oh, when did you start logging your hours?
So some of these hours are from before I was logging.
Wait, how do you quantify that though?
What was that? I have logged. I have 580 hours logged, and I was guesstimating before that I probably played another
900.
600.
Oh, so technically you logged 580. So that means 9,420 were
Wendell, I said 1,000, not 10,000.
This month.
Got it. Are you,
Okay.
Jack? Now the last thing is, so it's not time fraud. Are you logging hours currently while we're potting also, or
Because you could get in trouble for that.
just asking? Okay, back to Survivor.
Oh, I'm done with this.
Do you have these stats anywhere else other than your phone? Like you just keep them for like when you enter like no, this is a serious question. What do you do with those?
I think if you are going to, I guess, generally engage in any form of gambling, you should keep track of how you do to make sure, because naturally people tend to think that they make more money than they do or like lose less than they do. So if you track it, you can hold yourself accountable. and know if you're actually doing well.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because otherwise you just go, you never track it, you lose a lot, and you'll be like, oh, I didn't lose that much. And then you go do it more because you don't think you're losing. Yeah. Anyways. I just shared the thing I'm most proud of and got for it. So
don't do that. I've invested in that, Jack. Don't do that. You know,
we appreciate
but
it.
If you're the IRS, this is a fictional podcast. You know,
it's only a hobby.
It's a hobby. I've made 20,000, but I've lost 21,000. So not out. But take that, Uncle Sam. That's for the IRS. Okay, so now we're back.
What's
over
9 plus 7?
16.
Isn't it 21?
21. So I thought it was 9 plus 10. Was that me?
Okay. LeBron James.
Right, so you know what Vine is?
Wendell, do you know what Vine is?
Yeah, actually, one of my first Vines was a Survivor Vine at a live casting call.
You made it?
Yeah.
No, that is not the casting call you made.
No, I mean like you made a Vine during that.
Yeah, I have it on my computer still.
Did they cast you?
Yeah, and then I won. How'd you do?
I didn't make a Vine.
Yeah, you had a bootleg video. You could only spend 30 seconds of it.
I took a gamble.
You should have gotten that one tribal idol, Brice.
Okay.
So we got the red tribe.
Yeah. Brice wasn't thinking about the box. Yeah, we got the red tribe. Didn't see like a ton of them. We have Teeny immediately building great bonds with Keyshawn and Genevieve. She's excited also about potentially working with Asia, while Genevieve really likes Rome and how enthusiastic he is. Asia gets back from the little journey, and Teeny lets her know, like, hey, I've seen you on, Survivor podcasting or RHAP. And I think Teeny handles it well because she's like, if I blow up your spot, that blows up my spot. So I'm not going to say anything. I saw a very funny meme or something about Teeny to Asia in this moment. It was kind of like Izzy with Suri of the recognition.
It's really smart though, because although Teeny's like, it will blow up my spot, it really wouldn't, right? It's really kind of like Teeny, kind of like, I know you. And so it's kind of like, let's work together, but also it's like, Teeny knows where the bones are laid. So I'm not mad at Teeny in that approach. Like, I feel like, I'm glad that her and Asia are together, but like, I see you, Teeny.
Yeah. Teeny had a great episode. She was really bonding with everybody. And then the last thing that we kind of get from the red camp is Rome and his beware advantage shenanigans, ultimately resulting in him day one being like, I told myself, we saw a little bit of this in his preseason press of like, I told myself day one I wanted to go look for idols, this and that, and I want to be real stealthy about it. Was not very stealthy about it. This ends up with him digging around in the well for this key, and kind of gets caught by his tribe and just moseys off, all soaking wet. And people are very suspicious of him. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we see sort of the ultimate turnout of like if he secures a long-term idol, right? He risks it for the 3 tribal one, right? And then we don't really know exactly what ultimately happens, right? Am I correct in that?
So we saw him get the 3. I thought we only saw him get the key to the 1.
That might be true. I'm really not sure.
Right. But we don't know.
End of the day, we don't know if he's like secured any specific idol yet, right?
Right.
Okay.
What do you think that well water tastes like, Wendell?
I think it tastes like water, but after Rome's hair was in it, it probably tastes like hair products or something like that, because He did a full dunk. I don't know. Yeah, he was in there,
Yeah.
His feet was dangling.
bro.
And mind you, they said the well was only 3 feet.
Well, he's a little dude, you
Yeah,
know.
I know.
He dove in that whole
He
well.
told it.
I was worried he was gonna like fully fall in.
Right.
Like, hey guys,
I know. What if they had to get him out?
That's what
Like,
I was like.
bro,
They gotta
get
pull this man out of
Get
the well.
out.
That would be maybe an all-time the most embarrassing Survivor moment ever if you had to be fished out by your tribe in the well. What would your cover be like? Oh, I dropped my canteen and I had to go. I had to get
Soul is like, just stand up.
it. Yeah, tough looks for Rome. Kind of similar, like we said with Gabe, like just doing a little too much too fast. But I'm curious to see how I wish we saw a little bit more of Soul because I really like his personality. But it seems like right now,
I like that we didn't see a lot of Soul. Soul is my winner pick. He reminds me a lot of Tony from my season, from the preseason that I saw. So I was very happy not to see a lot of Soul. I also felt like Soul is a little older than the majority of the tribe, so he has that maturity. So I really have a lot of high hopes for Soul.
Yeah, maybe in this case it's good that he got not that much and you can kind of build up over time. But anything else stand out to you guys from this red group?
I like him.
Okay, great. And then we've already kind of covered the challenge, which was a disaster with the boats capsizing multiple times. And then Andy's meltdown, and ultimately Gata loses. They go back to camp. Andy's kind of on the outs. The girls tell John the obvious move is to tell Andy it's John because he was already throwing John's name out. And John doesn't like this. He decides like, hey, let me take the reins a little bit here and try to make a move on Annika, which, they try to pull Sam in and essentially he doesn't go for it. He goes back to the girls and kind of lays the situation out, and they make the decision between Andy's kind of a loose cannon. Do we take Andy out, or do we save Andy's strength in these challenges and take out John, who might be kind of more of a long-term threat with his speaking ability and his ability to articulate things and, debate skills? What did you guys think about John's decision here? Should he have just gone with the flow, or does it make sense when your name's on the block to shake the things up a little bit?
Me as a one-time person going to tribal, I think that you should shake things up, right? And so the fact that he went home, at least he went home swinging. I just feel like the editing here was interesting because immediately we just see John on the defense, and it's like, why are you on the defense? It really should be Andy. And I think the first red flag was the lady saying like, we're going to go with you. We're going to tell Andy it's you, because he won't believe anything else. But then John talks to Andy, and Andy's like, it's Annika, right? So I feel like I don't believe we're seeing things in the sequence that we should be seeing them in, because even when he was talking to Sam, Sam immediately just wasn't with it at all. So again, it leads me to believe that John was this bigger threat we just didn't really get to see. And I think that John knew that, which is why he is going out swinging. And so I'm not mad at it. And good for him for trying to make a move some way, somehow, instead of just sitting there and gambling on it.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
It's tough because I think in this instance, I do think when you're being kind of thrown out as the decoy, even if it's true, it's not necessarily especially in John's position where he's kind of a big personality and people kind of know his podcast. If you just sit by, it would hurt if you're in his position to sit by and have trust that Andy's going to go. And then ultimately that decision's still going to boil down to Sam and the girls, and they might have sent home John anyway. So I think sometimes you have to know when to chill, but I do think that at least you took some action here And I can totally see why John did that. And in this instance, I think maybe for his odds would have been better if he chilled, still might have gone home. And even if Andy had gone home, the fact that they were willing to throw John out as a decoy, it seems like John probably would have been next. And so I think it's just kind of a bad hand to be dealt. And I can't blame, is it the ideal move? Maybe not, but I can't blame John for hearing that. It's like, oh, it's you or Andy. And then not wanting to just sit by and accept that. You know what I mean?
I like him taking action when hearing it. Yeah.
I also felt like, and again, don't get me wrong, Andy looks strong, so does Sam, but I didn't necessarily see anything that led me to believe that John was weak, though. That was the thing that was kind of like throwing me off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that was just an excuse of like kind of cover for the concerns they had about his long-term strengths as well. I think maybe if I were John, that maybe he did do this and we didn't see it, rather than really like grabbing the reins and going to Sam and being like, this is going to be the move, maybe let Andy kind of take that, spearhead that, and then maybe if you're John, after you can go talk to Sam and be like, do we want to make a move or do we just want to stick with Andy? And maybe you get a more honest read out of Sam and can be kind of brought into that group a little bit more effectively. But I don't know. It doesn't seem – it also – we don't know a lot about John's relationships. And I feel like from what we have seen, he has gotten along with Annika. Like he admires her preparation and her knowledge. And so maybe if you were going to make a move, that's someone you pull in rather than target, because – I don't know. The problem is for John, there's not really a good other target to throw out other than Andy, right?
What does that say that after this whole episode that Andy had, he received no votes?
Kind of like what I touched on earlier. Like if it's early days and you're viewed as an asset in challenges, and not like, I mean, he definitely was rough socially, but not in the sense of like people disliked him, then you kind of just gotta chill and you'll be all right for the most part. Now sometimes there's groups where they see that and it's a threat and they want to take you out, but for the most part, if you're an asset in these challenges, especially in an era of fewer swaps where you might be needed for 6 challenges, it doesn't make sense to cut you loose early, or else you might have to vote out the whole tribe. So
question. Do we think that this tribe is going to be a hot mess like historic yellow tribes have been?
I don't think so. They won the first challenge. Like I think like they have what it takes. I think I hope in these upcoming episodes I hope that Andy receiving no votes validates him and kind of can calm the feelings in his head, and that like he can propel himself.
Second question, do we think Andy can bounce back?
Absolutely.
If they go to tribal again, who's next?
probably Andy.
Annika.
I don't know, because now you got, I don't know. And my last question. Oh, it seems like this is a tribe of a lot of pretty people. Do we see any maybe happening?
Well, Sam has a girlfriend, I think, in this.
Okay.
So that would
Andy
be.
has a girlfriend too.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, Andy has a girlfriend too. Although it seems like the person he would be most interested on a platonic level wasn't really thrilled about that either, Rachel. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Sierra gave me, I was impressed with her this episode. She kind of gave me Lauren from Heroes, Healers, Hustlers vibes. Kind of a niche pull, but yeah.
I like Sierra from the way that she talks, her dialect and how she like speaks. You can tell she's from our neck of the woods. She definitely sounds like a Philly adjacent. Like not the Philly accent, but like, you know what I mean? Like how she was talking, like I feel like I hear that type of talk all the time. So it's like I really like Sierra.
Yeah, I was impressed with her. And yeah, as far as it's a good question because we've seen so many hot mess tribes, and on paper, I'm nervous. The blue tribe looks really strong. And I think maybe they said they don't have a lot of puzzle people, so maybe that could be a barrier. Because, but the red tribe doesn't. I think right now on paper the yellow group is stronger than the red tribe. Although Saul has that bad strength for sure. I mean, he was a beast.
I think the blue tribe has the potential of being the hot mess tribe.
Really?
The blue tribe?
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that they maybe look the strongest physically?
Who did they both flip over?
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
I think Jay and Kiana are gonna be like leaders in these challenges. And Sue, like you got, man.
I'm just saying the potential. I'm not a gambling man.
Yeah, I think it will be pretty balanced. But it's hard to say. But you look at the yellow tribe now, and not that John was necessarily weak, but they don't have any like standout weak people. I don't feel like. I do think the blue tribe is going to be pretty strong. With TK is a beast. Gabe's pretty physical. Kyle's pretty physical. Tiana is pretty physical.
Sue is strong.
Yes, and then Caroline looks like it seems like she's pretty good on the puzzles. So
they could be one of these tribes that almost steamrolls through to the merge, and then the remaining tribes start picking them off.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess ultimately, we've gone. I like what we're talking about because it's sort of like, what do we see coming down the line? I don't necessarily know who did we not talk about that you guys have a good or a bad feeling about that just wasn't that much of a
Genevieve, I think is her name. I like Genevieve's preseason, and I like what I saw from her in the episode of just her cohesiveness with her tribe. So I liked her. I think there's a Rachel, right?
Yep.
I liked Rachel. We didn't see a ton of her, but for me, as I'm watching, I'm looking at them interact with the other people, and I'm like, okay, they jealous. So it's I really like this cast as a whole. There are a lot of likable, chaotic, energetic, and fun characters that are willing to make big moves. So overall, I'm very happy with this season thus far.
Yeah.
Brice, you kind of reminded me of a point that I wanted to make whenever is that I'm going to call a shot here early. I feel very strongly that this season is going to be won by another woman. Because I look at the women in this cast, I think they're across the board pretty solid. I look at, like you said, Genevieve, I think has a great vibe. Rachel seems really solid. Sue really surprised me with how she came out so far. Teeny is a really strong social game so far. Yeah. And then on the flip side, I look at the guys. There's not really one guy that I have super high hopes for right now. I mean, I guess based on what we talked about, maybe for me it would be Sam, but he also has that physical thing about him where that's not really the archetype of a winner recently because it could be a physical threat. And then you look at I think Gabe and Rome came out a little strong. Saul's a little bit older. I hope to see some stuff from him, but a lot of times it's hard to integrate. TK seems TK.
That's what I'm saying.
TK seems really athletic and he's a good social player, but I don't know if he's quite got the survivor mindset from what we saw of the strategy of it all. So I just feel like the women have a lot more winner equity right now than I think the guys did.
I agree with that statement, but when I looked at the preseason and I looked at the people, I felt like this might be I think that we might have a guy winner.
Really? Why is that?
When I did my Issa look with Robert, I felt like because the women were so strong and standoutish, I felt like maybe somebody's going to slip by. And after this episode, I was like, Kyle has no chance. I really like Kyle.
I like Kyle too. I want to see more Keyshawn as well. We didn't see.
Yeah, I like Keyshawn. Oh, Dr. Patel. Oh, I like Dr. Patel. I could see Dr. Patel.
He'd be in the conversation too of the guys, but that's just my shot that I'm calling just on the surface. I think across the board, I think the women are really strong players, and across the board, I don't see as much for the guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was a great episode. It looks like we're off to a great season. Survivor News is back. I'm so excited to be covering this season with my brothers, and I'm sure some friends will come join us along the way. Don't forget that the BWP Tour 47 is in full swing. We are headed to Dallas, Los Angeles, Nashville, New Orleans, Chicago, Philadelphia, Boston, DC, and New York. Don't miss out on the fun. Tickets are available. Click the link in the Brice and Win Present Instagram bio or Twitter. And we'll be back next week talking episode 2. I'm not a gambling man, but I put my money on we'll be back next week to cover some more Survivor. This has been your Survivor News.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.